Was there any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime, yes or no?
We weren't sure what she was doing.
Okay, so if you don't know what somebody's doing, do you have reasonable suspicion that they're doing anything in particular?
No, but we have a reasonable response to ask what she was doing.
Right, agreed. You could ask her what she's doing. And when she refuses to answer, are you now allowed to detain her?
Yes.
Who told you this? That you get to detain people who are videoing and refuse to identify themselves when asked? Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment, by the way?
Vaguely.
What does it say in your own vague terms?
No illegal search and seizure.
Right. Unless there's
Probable cause.
or
That's about all I know.
okay, all right, good enough. You said that's about all I know. All right. Now there was somebody else who asked you the same question that I just asked you about your familiarity with the Fourth Amendment. Who's in this room right now? Do you know who that person was? My client. She asked you that, didn't she?
I don't recall.
She asked you, "Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?" You don't remember that?
No.
I'm a lawyer.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazy?
I don't know.
If I tell you that your answer was, "Oh, great, why do we always get the crazies?" Would you dispute that?
No.
Does that sound like something you would say to somebody?
That's something I did say that day, yes.
So you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember saying that in response to the question, "Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?"
No, I just remember saying it.
Why is it that you felt she was one of the crazies?
This part is great. The shit you hear sheep parrot, just comply, don't poke the bear shit. This is where they get it from. He can't fathom that her will to stand on her rights outweighs the desire for self-preservation. Check this out.
When people act in a way that is not in their best interest.
How is she acting that was not in her best interest?
Well, at any time, all she had to do is identify herself. We could have done our report. You have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we could do a report, and we'll let you go on your way. And everything could have gone the own.
And if somebody were to threaten you that unless you comply with their demands, they're going to put you in handcuffs, would you automatically necessarily comply with their demands?
Yes.
No object.
You would.
Calls for speculation.
He was able to answer. So you would. So even if there's somebody who is acting as a law enforcement officer, giving you an unlawful order, threatening you with detainment or arrest or 90 days jail, if you don't comply with their unlawful demands, you would still comply?
Yes.
Alrighty. Is that what you expected her to do, to comply?
Yes.
Is there a law that requires people to identify themselves when requested by law enforcement?
I don't know.
30 years of training.
Welcome to another episode of Revolutionary Blackout Live, Long Beach edition. I'm joined by two great co-hosts today. We have Colin from the Indie News Network. What's up, Colin? Oh, you know what? I think I have you muted, sir. There you go.
There we go. Great to see you, CJ. Glad to be here. Pleasure.
This is the first time you've been on the show with me, I think.
Yes, it is.
True?
It is.
Crazy.
It is.
All right. So what's up, Colin? And then our audience already recognized Kit down there below from Heartlands Media. What's up, Kit?
Well, I swear, Colin, didn't I see you on my show earlier this morning? What the heck? What the heck? I'm getting old.
I know we had a funky old time on Harlan's earlier.
Yeah,
I was gonna have a funky old time at RVN.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Actually, that's where I saw the two of you, and I asked you to come on. I was watching the stream, the fantastic stream you guys did this morning. I was like, I think I want to have these two guys on today. But as usual with our streams, we start out with these intro videos, and this is one that truly, to me, kind of it's not eye-opening, but I hope it's eye-opening for people who still believe in this fantasy of the police state, where I don't understand how you can be a police officer and not have the Fourth Amendment as your top thing to know what to do, illegal search and seizure. That's the thing that you are doing as a law enforcement officer. This officer and the previous one had no clue. They had no clue whether or not they can arrest anyone for refusing to supply their identity. Yet these are the people that has been given the right to literally kill people. What are your thoughts? I'll start with Kit and then go to Colin. What are your thoughts just on this video? If this is the first time you've seen it or if you've seen it before, what are your thoughts on this video? Go ahead.
Again, you do have the right to tell an officer, no, I will not give you my identification or anything else. And we've seen a lot of videos where people do abuse their power, especially when it comes down to law enforcement. I would urge everyone to be careful if you are in a situation like this, because we've seen things escalate and get out of hand. But as you are hearing her lawyer, because she did threaten to call her lawyer, not only was her lawyer informed about the Fourth Amendment, but also about her rights as a citizen. But I encourage everyone watching this to know your rights at the federal level and in your own said state and in your neighboring states, should you have to do business or visit family, etc. You must know what is going on, so that way you are well aware of your constitutional rights and your rights as a sovereign citizen. And I say sovereign citizen because we now have to educate ourselves on the law, what our rights are, what we can do if we are ever in a situation like this. Because let's face it, currently, what are we witnessing under the Biden-Harris administration while everyone's at brunch? Our own sovereignty, our own rights as individuals, as voters, is systematically being taken away from us. Whether it's laws in regards to our own to women's bodies, for example, or either that any other sovereign issues that belong to us. So I would say, folks, education is key. Know your rights, know the law of the land, and be more educated and articulate in regards towards anyone else that would want to impose anything upon you, because this is what's going to be required. And it's sad that our current education system doesn't educate or inform young people really what our rights are. It's just dismissed so quickly. So be careful out there, folks. That's the only thing I could say. And I think we all need to be very self-aware of our surroundings and just what might be. And I urge everyone to just have a safe day and take care of yourselves.
That is a great chime in from you to kind of give that precaution, because we all might be, I'm not going to give you my name, but you have to assess the situation you're in, and
Yes,
you know
exactly.
what these police officers are willing to do. So if you got, a million people around and cameras everywhere, maybe you want to say, okay, no, I'm not giving you. But you know what I mean? It's a dark road. You're by yourself and it's just you and a cop. Maybe you should have a different decision. But Colin, I'll go to you. Same question. What's your reaction to this police video here?
This Kit hit it. And as a teacher, it gives me no pleasure to say that this is a result of our terrible job in this education system, where you're lucky if you have a civics class in high school. But I think more particularly, it's especially for students of color, this would be an important thing that they should know. And the lack of civics, a student of color may not necessarily know that you do not have to give your name. And you might be lucky if your family tells you, but school is not going to necessarily tell you that. And so when you're in this position, especially being a person of color, the first thought might be, you might be thinking, this cop can possibly kill me. So I want to do everything that I possibly can to ensure that I get home alive, after my interaction with the cop. And also with the cop, they should know this too, but, cops are generally drunk on power, and they don't necessarily have to follow the law to their detriment. And oftentimes, especially if you're a person of color, they might we've seen it, and I don't necessarily have to go into that, but yeah, it's just kind of lacking of the education that we should have, I think, for us to kind of protect ourselves, but also for cops to uphold the very constitution by which they have the reason why they have their job. But it kind of goes to show the institution of policing is not meant to protect us. It's more or less to protect themselves and the elites who they work for. So it's not surprising, but at the same time, it just kind of saddens me that this is something, as an educator, that this is what we should be teaching and we don't.
And I mean, I can't agree with you more. I mean, there's a long list of things we should be teaching in school, but and for example, credit will be something I will be teaching in school. But this particular thing, knowing your rights against the police state, just think of a country that claims to have their cornerstone is built on freedom and liberation, but you don't teach people in school about your constitutional rights. You see how that's lacking? And in this video, we got a glimpse on how the ruling class, because he's a representative of the ruling class, what they view of people who know their rights. And what was his reaction? It was like, why do we get the crazies all the time? Because you know your rights. And that's how police officers, I think we got a glimpse here. This is how police officers view people who know their rights. And to that point, I think some police officers are sort of like, they feel called out, or they feel like they feel dumb when citizens know the law more than them. It's like, you a smarty pants, okay, and then you start to see that aggression from the police officer on the scene. So yeah, let's move on to the next thing here. And for those that don't know, the reason we're streaming on YouTube, everywhere else, if you're watching us on Rockfin, you may not know the difference, but if you're watching us on YouTube, the reason we're streaming from the Long Beach chapter of RBN's YouTube is because on our main channel, we have been, is it called restricted or suspended until Thursday for playing a video from the International COVID Summit, which was part of the European Parliament. And we literally, Kit, Kit was a part of this.
I was there, and I have
literally just played it. We literally just played it, and then we were gonna talk, and then I was like, maybe we will talk a little bit, and then we'll just let the video speak for itself, so YouTube doesn't do anything to us. And lo and behold, 2 hours later after the stream, Kit hit me up. He was like, "Did you privatize the stream?" I'm like,
that was Due Dissidence that asked you, and then I asked.
Oh, Due Dissidence. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I asked if you enlisted it or privatized it. So I got to hold on. I don't want to take the floor from you. So continue on, because obviously YouTube did send you a message.
I was going to pass it to you. To you because I read the email after finding this all out on social media from Sabrina is when I read the email like a day later. So, but what were your thoughts? I heard both of you speak on this earlier today, but what is your thought, Kit? Because you've been through, I don't even know how many strikes, like 1 million strikes already. So
counting eight, and none of them are fun. Actually, this is every time there is a strike or Harlan's media is in a spot like that, it is concerning to me, because again, there are long-term consequences and repercussions. And I'm where I stand on this. I feel the same way I felt way back in 2020 that I do now. I am vocally and stand against censorship. I understand that there are people who don't like my show, and I understand that there are people who have their own content who maybe think differently than me and perhaps would never want to agree or do anything like that. I'm not asking for the world to get along. I am not asking for people to have one single thought. What I am asking is the goddamn representation of the First Amendment and for right of free speech. Now, YouTube is not a publisher. YouTube is a private platform. To be fair, we're all using its backyard. And yes, as a corporation, I guess it has some certain rights, but does it dictate what a publisher cannot do? Who are they to dictate what violates the community guidelines when no guidelines were violated? Because then they're putting words in my mouth and they're putting words in your mouth. We did not institute any hate speech. We did not give out any false medical information. What we were doing is what you see in the news all the time: commentary and perspective on a current live event that is taking place in the world. YouTube, the World Health Organization has declared the pandemic is over. YouTube, that video that was played on Revolutionary Blackout Network is now available for anyone in the press to use, especially on your platform, in which people's perspectives can be given. Also, YouTube, in case maybe, I don't know, one of our also fantastic lawmakers or anyone else that is part of the establishment wants to post it on their YouTube channel or content, it is in their right. But I don't see you doing that to them. So what I will say here and now, free speech is the cornerstone and bedrock of all republics, of all democracies, and for every sovereign citizen to cherish and hold dear. When one voice is silenced, everybody is put on the chopping block. And I despise it. I'm angered by it. Now, the 8 times we were hit, Hardlands Media, we're kind of sort of recovering. But in 2020 was that gut check. 6 months. 6 months we couldn't fund our team. 6 months we lost the resources necessary to build up not one, but 2 field teams. So go ahead. I dare anyone to talk to Daniel Upker and ask him, hey, how'd you feel during those 6 months? Because I saw everything that my colleague Daniel build get destroyed. Everything that we were going to do, original field reporting, having teams, having updated new camera gear and equipment, gone like that. And there was a real conversation him and I were having when, oh, yeah, we might have to close up shop. Compton, Colin, I would not be able to talk to you right now. There was that real possibility. So when people ask, hey, where's Daniel at? He's setting up the studio. He's working, making sure that Hardlands Media is still around, because that's what we had to do. And it's 2020. It's now 2023 right now. 3 years later, we still have to diversify, maintain the studio, maintain our YouTube channel, and so much more. Now, those 8 times we got struck down, our allies in independent media and all of our wonderful audience saved our rear ends. But I don't want anyone to be censored, be it libertarians, Greens, conservatives, Republicans. Hell, I don't want Majority Report to be censored. I don't want TYT to be censored. Yes, I will go that far. I don't want to see anybody censored. I don't like it, because when everyone's put on that freaking chopping block, you lose everything. And YouTube is systematically hurting your voice and your entire team's voice. So when I see this happening to RBN, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, it's happened to Hardlands Media. But I'll go a step further. Hey, YouTube, why do you want to silence black voices? What do you got against black content creators, YouTube? They had me on their show. We were doing commentary and analysis on a current event that is taking place. YouTube, is anyone maintaining your guidelines, or is it all automated? I guess YouTube, as a content platform, is bigoted and, dare I say it, maybe racist towards black content creators, because I don't see you doing this to MSNBC or CNN. Now, I get that YouTube was bullied by those media outlets, especially during the infamous adpocalypse. But what I don't like is censorship. And so I do have to question the big brain people at YouTube. Why did you do this? Why did you suspend RBN for 7 days? Do you know what the lack of content for even 1 day, if you don't post anything on social media, what it does to your channel, how it impacts your analytics? Are you going to give them a permanent warning, like how you've done to Hardlands Media? Because they deleted a video.
Can you describe that? I still don't really quite understand. What is a permanent warning?
Well,
like,
here's the thing. What it is an active community guideline strike. So what we have here, and the warning is labeled as thus. This content was removed due to violation of community guidelines. Now, I cannot, under any circumstance, counter or remove this warning. So it's permanent because YouTube deleted it. So by YouTube deleting it, I can't say to YouTube, hey, this video you deleted, you were wrong, and you admitted you were wrong, but now this warning remains. So it's forever with Hardlands Media. And so that's why I tell you and your crew at RBN to keep all your receipts of the videos, back up everything, and keep the Rockfin video too, because in case they do delete it and they give you that permanent warning, You need to use that as an example. Be like, hey, wait a minute. This is the video. There's no hate speech. No guidelines have been deleted. Restore it and remove the warning. Now, we still have this warning. And every time I try to talk to YouTube to get rid of it, they always say, well, we think you deleted it. No, we didn't. Because I talked to my editor, FaZe, and I talked to Daniel. They didn't do it. YouTube did that. We don't delete our stuff.
YouTube deleted the video. We don't have that video no more.
Do you have it available on Rockfin? Please tell me.
We don't have it on YouTube. Is what I'm. Yeah, we have it. We have it on.
That is.
We have it on Twitter. We have.
That is.
Yeah, we have it on. We just don't have it on YouTube. Yeah.
Great, fantastic. This is the good news. Okay, so what you can do is use that video, tag Rockfin, tag YouTube community, tag all the YouTube associations, and inform them, hey, this is a video you took down. You're indicating we violated your community guidelines. We did not do that. Point out where it was. You deleted it. We cannot counterclaim it. So this is what YouTube did to you guys, and it's unjust. And it's a very frightening thing to do. And even though we have all our receipts, YouTube likes to give us a runaround. Say, we're sorry. We're sorry. We really can't do that. And so they give me this runaround. That's why we still have this permanent warning. Hell, that's why sometimes people say, I've been unsubscribed, or I'm not being notified when you go live anymore. It is not a fun thing to deal with. And I'm enraged.
So let me understand. So they deleted your content, and you can't appeal it because all they're gonna say is, "Where is the content? We don't see it."
Yeah,
right.
So who deleted it?
YouTube.
And they don't know they deleted it.
No,
like the actual person. When you talk to a live person,
wait here.
They don't see that their own company deleted it.
Let me explain the situation about YouTube. You want to go speak to manager. 30 years later, you're an old man. Some assistant to the assistant manager says, wait 10 more years. That's what it's like, because nobody at YouTube is vocal. Nobody at YouTube is really gonna quickly respond unless you really start raising up more fire about it. And we were able to do this not once but 8 times, but it's like pulling goddamn teeth, and you have to pull out everything out properly. You're saying we violated your community guidelines. What hate speech is there? Because when I say violated community guidelines, can I ask you what did they write to you? Like how did it violate?
They said misinformation, COVID misinformation.
Nope.
We played the International COVID Summit.
What?
And they said that was COVID misinformation. Yes.
What you have to do is you have to do a whole Twitter thread, at least maybe 10 okay, I guess a Twitter thread that's at least got 10 links to it. 10 going down. At least tagging YouTube community. You must indicate that the World Health Organization has has officially declared that the pandemic is over. You must also show videos and receipts of that video being played in other media outlets too. You was it you that told me, or somebody else told me? That was like that video is all over YouTube. I think that's due dissidence. I think that was due dissidence or myself. I know I added like you have to start using that. So you're talking to a seasoned grizzled old man veteran about this. It is,
and we're gonna talk offline. We haven't submitted it for this very fact because you got to do that right away. We're trying to. Well, we plan on doing it today, but I needed to get information, and I want to talk to you after this. We'll talk after this so we can submit it.
Yeah.
So I should say this: we've reached out to YouTube. We haven't technically submitted the appeal. They have responded to our question, and they said, "You guys go ahead and submit this." So they've responded. They know we're gonna submit the appeal, but we haven't done so. We'll talk offline, Kit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk because you're gonna have to hit them and tell them and show every single thing because. Is there a person manning the board? Yes, but you really gotta show them like, hey, okay, I'm not gonna tell you how to word it, but with YouTube, like, you made a mistake here, and here's your numerous examples of your mistake and the mistake of the algorithm. Because again, the World Health Organization has declared that the pandemic is over. So that means now, when it comes down to other countries talking about it, that video being played, everyone's sharing that on social media, everyone's posting it now. it's a legitimate story that a lot of people in the media are covering. You got to do it. You got to come at them swinging with every single thing.
We'll talk after this because I'm gonna submit it right after this stream. All right, so sorry everybody watching. We got it's really infuriating if you're
I'm actually
ahead.
very infuriated. I don't mean to cut you off because again,
Go ahead.
this is something that I always have to be concerned about. And there are always days when I'm doing this show where I'm wondering, okay, please maintain, please let this day be another good day for doing my show and so much more. But I don't want this to happen to anybody. And if there are people who are cheerleading this on or are so happy to see this, just know this: your favorite content creator could be impacted by these terrible rules and guidelines. Again, you have an algorithm that is going after trigger words. I mean, I remember I'm going to be careful on this channel, but I remember when a guy named Ed who snowed in somewhere on the Asian continent, saying his name was akin to saying a racial slur. Same thing to a person named Jules somewhere in the European hemisphere was akin to saying a swear word or a racial slur. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Same thing for a scumbag. First name Jeffrey, last name was an E, who somehow offed himself. You can't say the real word of offing yourself. You are self-deletion. That's what you got to say. And look, I hate being censored. I hate even talking like this on your channel with these code words. But you got to tiptoe on eggshells, and you got to just know. When I say to people, you got to know your rights, know the laws of the land. You got to, because you got to come swinging at these people. And by people, I mean YouTube and everyone who's watching this. Again, Hard Lens Media, we're still recovering 3 years later from what happened to us in 2020. And the video in question that we got, that got deleted was the so fantastic event called January 6th that somehow liberals say was the end of democracy. Fuck out of here. YouTube said that we said that old man Biden, wasn't the, because again, I gotta be careful here.
You gotta be, and let me speak to that point. We are claim to be a free society. We have to talk like this, Colin. Like, we have to talk in coded language, and we don't understand that fascism is already here.
Right.
Fascism is here. If you want to speak on that, Colin, go ahead.
Yeah, it's I said this on Harlan's Media earlier. I think for you guys at RBN and for us at INN, we have an advantage that we have a network of different creators. So like now you're able to stream to your personal account.
Right.
When we were hit and we were off for 2 weeks, we were able to go on to Indie Left's original account. But if you're alone doing this, you don't necessarily have maybe backup channels or have Rockfin or Rumble to kind of fall back on in case something happens to YouTube. So I think there's something to be said to be able to do this on the network. But that being said, the idea even now, like there's certain stories that we can't cover, or looking at stories being like, should we even attempt to? Because so walking in fear and trepidation of covering a story or saying something could result in a strike, or at minimum, you get limited monetization, which I know CJ and Kit. Like that means they say on YouTube you'll get limited, but that's like cents of the cents of a dollar, meaning you're not getting anything for that video or clip or demonetization. So it's lose all around, just because of the censorship that exists or the propaganda that mainstream media wants to kind of have the cult following of most people knowing and being able to counter that. As I say, you can't have too many woke people walking around trying to tell truth.
No, you can't. They call that a mob. A mob.
Right. I also
Ron DeSantis says.
I also want to add in here too, and this is because here's the thing: whenever we were hit, I do want to just give an acknowledgement to a lot of libertarians and conservatives who are part of my audience. And look, they may not agree with everything I say, but they've been very staunch supporters. You want to know who I've seen really show their true skin, and that is the quote unquote the resistance liberals. Okay, so let's talk about the resistance liberals. All right, now for 4 years, these people, and I really have a low opinion on a lot of these activists and organizers and people who were part of the Trump derangement syndrome. Okay, look at the fantastic organizations of Me Too, Time's Up, and Black Lives Matter. Okay, all sounding great in principle. But now those institutions are gone. All right. Any credibility they once had is gone. They're not coming back. It's not coming back because it got co-opted by the Democratic Party, the liberal think tanks, neoliberals, etc. But when you have people who are saying, "I'm so glad they got censored. I'm so glad that they've been chopped down. I'm so glad that this happened, that happened." So that means all those protests that you did towards Donald Trump and saying that he's going to install some sort of Fourth Reich and destroy the Republic. You don't believe in those words. And when I see these resistance people triggered that Donald Trump is coming back, I think at least Trump's more honest than you guys. At least I know what to expect from him. He's never going to fight for a progressive cause or issue, but at least he's up front when he gives me the middle finger. A lot of these quote unquote activists are waiting in wings just so that they could see other people suffer and think that they have the high moral authority because now they are telling you guys you're censored. Where are all these quote unquote activists and people who said they'd resist Trump? Where are they? All the things that Biden is doing right now is what Trump has done. In fact, the only reason why Biden has been more successful is because everyone's at brunch. So where are the quote unquote allies to help out RBN? Where are the good white people who said that if they were alive during slavery, they'd help the black slaves escape to the north? Where are all those great resistance underground fighters wearing the mask? I know I brought this up, but who would fight Hitler and his Nazi thugs to save the Jews? You know what they're at? They're trying to do cancel culture. They're trying to cancel this person, that person. They're all upset that Trump's back, so they're now dusting off their marching shoes. And especially the ones in Chicago, because I know what they're going to do. I know exactly what they're going to do. I'll be surprised if they don't do it, but they'll start somewhere in downtown Chicago, maybe by the mayor's office or somewhere else in the city of Chicago, maybe by Federal Plaza. And then they're going to march. They're going to march to Trump Tower that's across the river into their little sheep pen. And like I said, I made a promise to Colin. I even made this promise to Daniel. I'll try and be professional. But I swear to God, if I see them marching to that cage, if I see some sort of sheep pen, I might fucking lose it. And my gut is telling me, Kit, the cage is going to be bigger. You know it. And I just know this. Malcolm X would never tell, hey, followers, follow me. We're going to go to the cage. We're going to go to the cage and protest Trump Tower, a non-government building. I don't see Dr. King doing that. I don't see any of those great civil rights activists doing that back in the day. So look, I am angry what's happened to RBN because it's happened to me not once but 8 times. 8 times. This is my job. This is my life. I have a team to take care of. I have bills to pay. I have a team that I'm trying to build up. 3 years on after what happened to us in 2020. Right. And I do hope.
How many appeals have you won? How many appeals have you?
8 out of 8. We win. We're heavyweight champions.
Oh, wow.
It's a real deal.
Come on, YouTube.
We haven't been so lucky though.
I could pull out the receipts all the time. YouTube knows that if I pull out the receipts, I win because you know what? I get these delicious emails and letters. We made a mistake. We're sorry. And I just eat it up. It's like, you're goddamn right you're sorry. Because you fucked around and you found out. So I just eat up. It's like so delicious. Like, yeah. Now give me back my channel.
Right.
Do they know you on first name basis pretty much?
Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know who they got there, but it's just like they know Daniel. I think they definitely know Daniel, not to mess around because I'm now running all of HLM. Yeah, but he's taking care. So the studio takes care of Hard Lens Media because that's what he's taking care of. So we had to split up and diversify how we maintain
the labor. Yeah, the labor. You had to divide up the labor. The extra labor that was added on. So let's move to the first little warm-up story. And I know both of you have heard. I think I spelled Peter Dauo right. But Peter Dauo rebrands again, part 199. this is literally another rebrand by this guy. So let's show Colin and Kit. Let me show you. Let me just go to my bookmarks here. Actually, let's start on his page. This is his pinned tweet. Now, actually, let me set the scene. Let me go to my bookmark first.
You know what? But this is delicious to watch because I know what tweet you're gonna pull up. I know what it is. I know.
Yes,
what it is.
the first one, the first main one that kind of took people by surprise. Like, what is Peter seeing here? Let me. I think it's this. This is one of them. This is
All
one
right,
of the
Peter.
two.
Yeah.
That we're gonna be discussing and the subsequent tweets, because he's had subsequent tweets since this where it's so funny because when he was Marianne Williamson's manager, we didn't see any of this fire.
Nope.
Like, we didn't see any of this fire from Peter when he was the actual manager. And let me catch everybody up to speed if you're new to this story. So Peter Dauo became campaign manager of Marianne Williamson campaign maybe for 4 weeks before April.
It was in April.
And then and he quit the next month. So he was the campaign manager for a month. But right after quitting, it was very weird that he started to tweet things like this. And let me read this first one. It says, calling on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Marianne Williamson, run as independents. Time to stop the farce that the Democratic Party is democratic. Now, this is the Hillary hack. This is the Bernie smear merchant. All time is Peter Dauo. He rebranded after the Hillary Clinton debacle where he lost that. He rebranded as a Bernie bro. He fell off the Bernie bro sort of van again and became a Marianne Williamson campaign manager. And now that he's quit, now he's back on the independent and pushing all of these, mildly sort of radical positions. But let's go to Colin first. What was your reaction, or what is your reaction to Peter Dauo and sort of his transitioning between Marianne Williamson back to this space where he's in now?
To me, it just seems like he's a typical politician in the sense of he's just trying to figure out what is popular in the political stratosphere, as it were. I think he placed his bet on Marianne, kind of like some of the larger channels, in the idea of like, at least I would think that, well, he was a campaign manager, but, and this is just speculation, but in my thought, he was probably like, oh, she probably doesn't have a chance, but, like her being in the race gives the progressive edge, since being progressive is kind of the trendy thing now. But it's a way to elevate the issues, as a lot of these people are saying. And, but now he's just kind of figuring out, or he probably knew it, but since he's no longer a campaign manager, he's figured out like, oh, running independent, that's what the cool kids are saying. So like, let me run with that. But the issue was, Pete probably knows all of that prior to the jump. So the idea was like, well, why did you run? Why were you connected with Marianne in the first place, knowing that she was running in the Democratic Party, and knowing like they essentially just try and sheep herd people who are disenchanted with the whole process into that party? So that's kind of my take on that, is he's just trying to throw everything at the wall and just seeing what sticks. And I don't think he's going to succeed at that now, given, he went from Hillary to Bernie to Marianne, and God knows what his next target is going to be.
Yeah. And let me, before I go to you, Kid, let me add this other tweet and read it, and then you can comment on both of them. So, like I said, since sort of leaving the Marianne Williamson campaign, he's literally been on like a tweet tear where he's kind of going right at the neck of Joe Biden of the DNC. Unlike I've never seen him be like that. Certainly not when he was a campaign manager. And let me read this one. The DNC is the spoiler. I call bullshit on anyone saying Marianne Williamson and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are spoilers. The only people handing the presidency to the GOP are the ones forcing Joe Biden on an electoral then that hates him. On an electorate that hates him. You don't save democracy by obstructing primaries. Now, kid, part of me is starting to feel, but part of me is saying he got the backlash from the Marion by being a campaign, like he got serious backlash, and now he's trying to sort of placate that crowd, because the backlash was literally the Democratic Party, not necessarily Marianne Williamson. I think that was the overarching thing. Like, the Democratic Party is what's terrible. So now he's on this, tear to get all of the leftist people, all the cool kids, as you say, back in his fold. But Kit, what say you about Peter Dauo's overall rebranding 199? Go ahead.
Geez. During a late evening live stream, I think a few months ago, before we shifted to morning, I said to my audience, I wish that this election year is going to be entertaining. And I want to be entertained. I want to see blood in the gladiatorial arena, and I am not being disappointed, my friends. Now, let me explain my reasoning for this. When we look at Peter Dauo posting all these tweets, he is more or less, you could say, throwing crap at the wall and seeing what will stick or not. Now, it's important for all of you to remember all the players from 2016 throughout all of 2020, for all the election years, people, who they were, what they were saying. Now, maybe he might be being a little authentic here. He is saying things that we know, that the DNC does commit election fraud, and that running a Democratic Party outside the establishment or challenging the establishment's pick is a fool's errand. Buddy, you are many years late. We are way ahead of you on that. For that, I do commend you for posting this. It does raise my eyebrow. Being authentic, though, when it comes down to the general election, will you be consistent with that by saying vote independent? Because when I voted independent, I had friends call me a racist Trump supporter. I had a friend personally send me a private message with an article that was titled The Rise of the Ku Klux Klan. And by saying to me, by voting independent, you support the KKK. That is something I have to live with for a very long time. Now, that friend did apologize to me. However, Peter, are you going to be consistent with that? Are you going to be consistent, or just say, hey, time to get in line now, vote Democrat, vote Biden? I don't believe it. And I think at this point in time, relying on electoral politics is a fool's errand. Now, I will vote independent in the election. That's what I'm going to do. But when I hear people say, well, now we got to do it, the infrastructure should have been being built in 2016. The Green Party, and to extent the Libertarian Party, dropped the ball on that. I really now have to question, and CJ, myself, you, Nick, and Due Dissidents, the crew there, Keenan and Russell, were able to bring up this question. What really happened behind the scenes where two key officials, part of the Marianne Williamson campaign, just upped and left? It's either they realized the ship was sinking, there was something wrong with Marianne. Now, they did sign an NDA, and we could speculate at this point. It's speculation, but there are things that don't add up. So are you trying to make yourself relevant in the early stages of this election year by saying time for independent? Then who? Greens, Libertarians, Socialists, non-affiliate? Are you going to be an advocate for independence to be on a debate stage or have an online town hall? Because when we did it way back in 2020, I share. I don't share this story too much, but there was Mark Charles. He was an independent, non-affiliate candidate.
I remember him.
He agreed to come on, but when I reached out to the Greens and Libertarians, you know what they said? We're waiting to get onto the debate stage. Like, they're gonna let you on the big boy stage? No, that's never gonna happen. That ain't ever going to happen. So, Peter, if you're so concerned about this, are you and some friends of yours going to do a big online event, town hall debates with the Greens, Libertarians, and whoever else is running? Are you really going to advocate for it? Are you going to be doing that? And right now, I'm going to say no. You're just posting things just so that people can say, oh, wow, great perspective. Yeah,
right.
You're years behind that, buddy. You're years behind. So, again, a lot of questions. I like what he's posting. I'm not going to hate, but I question just how authentic and how consistent he will be as the months pass on.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kit. Like, it's one thing to post stuff on Twitter; it's another thing for your actions to match your tweets. So it'll be interesting to see if he does anything on the ground in terms of the stuff that he's saying. Now, we could be very wrong. If he does, great. You know, we can eat our words in the future if he does.
I hope he does what you're asking, Colin. I want him to do it. I want to think, holy cow, I called you out and you did it. Awesome.
But I don't think he will. And I say that because, and we know this, anything that you do as far as working for people on the ground, or I think especially the argument is working in the independent or third parties, at least currently, is not viable, i.e., it doesn't make money. Working on the Democrat or Republican parties do. So unless Peter knows something that we don't know, where he has a scheme to be able to bring in the money where independent or third parties are financially viable, in other words, he will get some type of profit, it's not going to happen. So it's easy for him to say all of this now, but he's not going to make any money off of this. So no, I don't think that he's just kind of saying it because he knows on Twitter that's what a lot of people are saying. But I can't imagine him doing anything that's viable that, in terms of uplifting third-party or independent candidates, that would be beneficial to him, that he would be willing to do it. I don't see that.
Yeah, and let me just read a couple of more of his tweets, and then we'll kind of move to the next quick story. And like I said, he's been on this tear of now he's so anti-establishment. And this is what these professional managerial class pick up very quickly. Marianne Williamson picked up too, because if you look at the interview she did with RBN, and then you look at some of the other videos, she's adjusted how to say things. They pick up, you know what I mean? Like you said, they pick up the cool kids. It's like they go hang out with the cool kids and they go, oh, this is how the cool kids talk. They use words like slap and they use words like this and all this other stuff, right? Like that's slapping. What does that mean? It's like, oh, that's like, so, and then they start using these words and these language and they know what people want to hear. So it tells me that they know what people want to hear, but you're still not willing to do it. That means you're a person that is, I guess you would label them as milquetoast, but let me read a couple of more tweets of his. Big media in America is state propaganda. Who do you think he's trying to get with that? Big media is state Who talks like that? The radical left. Do you see milquetoast using words like state propaganda? I've heard
you and Nick say that.
Exactly.
I don't think I've made a tweet like that. I think I imply it in my tweets. But really, you guys.
Right. So to that point, he listens, Colin and Kid. He listens to what people are saying, and then he comes in and then just crafts his tweets around that. Here's another one. The Lincoln Project is composed of Republican operatives who helped create the circumstances for Trump's rise. How much money will they take from Dem voters this cycle? That's very telling, considering you were just a campaign manager. But let's I digress. Let's continue with this one. In 2020, a tin can with a D on it could have trounced Trump. Really? Because Hillary Clinton didn't trounce him in 2016, but that's no longer the case. Biden's presidency has been abysmal. His polling is on par with Trump's. Biden cannot defeat Trump or DeSantis, so anyone fostering him or foisting him on voters is the spoiler. And that that'll be the last tweet I read of the newly rebranded Peter Dauo. And I just don't know where is this new grift gonna lead him. I'm trying to think, like, what else could he grift off of besides another Democratic candidate? And I can't think.
I know Savvy
Go ahead.
mentioned, I think on a stream of hers, she was thinking, especially since Andrew Yang, I think last week, was saying he had a major announcement. I know she was speculating that there might be a connection there. Doesn't seem like it is. But I also know some type of pact, I believe, that is, I heard this slightly on Breaking Points, that there's a pact like that wants to try and create a centrist lane. But even that, with what Peter's saying, that wouldn't make sense. He wouldn't necessarily go there. Especially if they're thinking of like someone like Joe Manchin kind of leaning that probably wouldn't fit with what he's saying. So I really don't know where he's going with. I think that's a confusing thing, is I really don't know where he's planning to go with this. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But it makes no sense given that, again, like there's no money to be had in third parties or independents at this current state. So unless if he's looking to build it from the ground up, which I don't see him doing, I'm confused. He's confusing me right now.
Yeah, just one other thing here too.
Go ahead.
Apologies for stepping out real quick, but look, we're right now at a point to where people are burnt out by electoral politics, and there is a very high probability that we're going to see Trump versus Biden 2024, which is going to be downright depressing. Funny to me. I'm going to laugh because I find it, because I said that this would happen. Daniel and I both said this would happen in the early stages of the general election. So 10 points for Daniel and I at HLM, because we were correct in this assessment that history would repeat itself. But I will say this. In regards towards the foundation of a third party, this is the time where you need to start building the infrastructure for it. Now, There will be no massive win. Green Party, it's not going to happen. Libertarians, come on, be real. It's not going to happen. Even non-affiliate. Whoever's running, you need to start building this infrastructure now. But there's also a lot of cynicism. There's a lot of criticism towards electoral politics. Our votes disappear. In Chicago, we're used to that all the time. So if Peter wants to make this his new thing, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying he's going to grift. I don't want to say that. I want to be a nice guy for 1 minute. I want to be. I want to be. I'm going to try to be. But Peter, yeah, you got to start building it now. You're going to be vilified. You're going to be ostracized. Now, the thing is, when that happens to you, you will no longer be invited to the posh events. You will be wearing the scarlet letter. You are now the bad guy. You're going to have friends say that you helped Trump get elected into office. Consistency is key, my friend. And that means being put on the cross. So if you can go through with that, you'll have my respect. But I promise anyone that wants to try and leave the establishment and say third party, going to a centrist thing or an idea of a forward party, all right, well, what are the issues? What are you fighting for? And when you have someone like Andrew Yang get owned by CNN, an institution that I do not respect at all, yeah, that centrist route, that forward idea doesn't sound too good. You got to be consistent. So, Peter, all the best to you. I want to say, wow, I was surprised. Peter really pulled through on this one. Peter then robbed Paul, or Peter, whatever, however the old saying, robbing Peter to pay off Paul. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am.
Absolutely. And I think we can close that one. I do have a reaction video. This is not really a segment, but I want to play this video of Hillary Clinton in between next segment here. And just to get your reaction to this. Yes, break out your Dramamine here. So you're going to be listening to Hillary Clinton.
This is violence.
Yes. So this is Hillary Clinton on a Trump win, and let's listen to how she described it. So HRC on a Trump. Oops, I said wins, but you get what I'm saying. Let's play the video and then we'll comment after.
What would happen if Trump won, first of all, in Ukraine? What would happen to the Ukraine situation?
Look, if Trump wins, which I do not believe will happen. Let me just quickly say that.
Oh, really? You're an expert?
That were to happen. It would be the end of democracy in the United States. It would be the end of Ukraine. It would become he will pull us out of NATO if he wins again. Just like he pulled us out of the Iran deal, he pulled us out of the Paris Accords, he will pull us out of NATO.
What would happen if Trump won?
I'm going to stop it there, and then I'll replay it in just a second. So she says that he will pull us out of NATO. I mean, if I wish that were true, I wish that were true, because if that was true, I would vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
But it's not true. But it's not true. You know what I'm saying? It's not true. If I had a president say, "Hey, I'm going to pull us out of NATO," okay, I'm all for that. But she's saying it obviously as, "Look at guys, this is really crazy. He wants to pull us out of NATO." But she's basically saying if Trump wins, democracy loses, the Ukraine will lose, and all of this other fluff. To me, there's no singular person who must have the Russiagate sort of continue with this sort of language than HRC, because this is, for the history books, that's going to explain why she lost against a game show host. So
Right.
for me,
Yeah.
she is one of the most invested in keeping this narrative
No,
going.
and
But what is your comments, Colin, and then Kit on this? Go ahead.
I said this, and it's not going to be a popular take, but I'm going to say it anyway.
No worries. Do you?
I would argue if Hillary was president in 2016, we would have been at war with Ukraine right then and there.
That's popular with me. I absolutely concur. Go ahead.
I think, given what we know in terms of, letters were written, regarding Ukraine, regarding the I'm going to protect you guys, sentiment, way back since I think around 2013, so I feel like the chess pieces were set up as for us to potentially go into war with Ukraine right at around that time. But Trump, I think, essentially played spoiler. So that kind of deferred their plans for 4 years. And now with Biden in, they're kind of wrapping it up as a way to kind of make up for lost time. But we don't have a democracy. What is she talking about? Like, that democracy doesn't exist in this country. Like, if that was the case, we would have debates, for, again, I'm no fan of Marianne. I'm no fan of JFK, but I would support the idea of having a national debate, just to kind of see. But, what democracy? Like, it's funny, like all these people say democracy is, like we're going to lose democracy. If we had democracy, we would have universal health care already. If we had democracy, we have a living wage already. If we had democracy, a lot of the issues we were talking about wouldn't be an issue. So what democracy do we have? Like, democracy for that, democracy for her, in terms of making her and her friends feel comfortable, but not democracy for us. No, fuck that. So I don't know what she's talking about. If she's talking about democracy in terms of the people, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So, all right. First, if I was sitting in a chair, I'd have to roll up a newspaper and slap her upside the head and say, "How dare you talk about who's gonna win and not win? You don't have a championship ring. You don't have a heavyweight belt. So who are you to talk about who's going to win or not win? There's a very good possibility that Donald Trump is going to win this general election. He as it currently stands, his numbers are in, again, high approval. Anything can happen between now and then. But Hillary, you lost, and you created a fake controversy, a conspiracy theory that has forever impacted not only the realm of politics, but media, Americans in regards to how they interact with their friends, neighbors, and coworkers and family members. You have people ending relationships because one person doesn't believe this conspiracy theory, and another person vehemently believes that it is the God honest truth, even though the FBI Durham report revealed that the FBI failed in its due diligence and that there was nothing there. Even Mueller. Nothing there. There was nothing to prove. Hillary, you lost fair and square to a reality TV show host. You were being by the best, and you have the audacity to now make predictions and speak on an issue in which you really have no expertise on. Yes, she's been involved in politics, but she wasn't popular in 2008 when she went off against Barack Obama. She was the one that was dividing. Puma, party unity, my wazoo, my ass. That's what happened. That's what her followers were doing. Remember the Obama boys? That was pretty racist of her to say that. And then in 2016, she had to have the super delegates be all for her. election fraud took place, and then she lost to the clown. Now, the fact that she's saying it'll be the end. When I heard that Trump town hall, again, Trump is a professional liar. He, like all politicians, okay? I want to think that maybe he was. I want to think, feel. Until then, I actually see his actions, then okay, then we know the real truth. But when he says, I want people to stop dying, he's saying something that a lot of his Republican colleagues won't say. None of his Republican colleagues will say that. None of his Democratic opponents will ever say that. But he wants to stop people dying. So I have to commend him for having somewhat of a human heart and soul. Do I see Hillary Clinton saying that? No, she's saying continue on the forever war.
Yeah.
Continue on the destruction.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying. And so when I look at a potential Democratic presidency, be it Biden or some other establishment hack fraud, I do dread of the fact of ongoing continuing war.
Yeah.
Now, if Trump's in office, there's a 50-50 possibility that it ends. Again, he's a neocon just like anybody else. But you have somebody like Hillary Clinton who wants to be vindicated so badly and deemed relevant in a world and a society that doesn't respect her.
I have a wondering, and I want to bring this up to you guys because the squad has made it very clear that they're going to support their party in terms of the war in Ukraine. If Trump were president and he says that he wants to end the war, what do you think the squad would say to that?
I know what they'll say. They'll say he's promoting fascism. That he is working with Russia. He's okay. They're gonna bring up war crimes and everything else. Look, that war, there's war crimes being done with both sides, okay? But he's talking about doing a peace. He's taken away their thunder. See, the squad ran as being anti-war, being for Medicare for all. They never followed through with any of their promises, by the way, folks. They'll say they'll pull everything out of the playbook. Why we need to make more bombs. And you know what? What will you hear from the anti-war left? Nothing. A pin drop. That's all you'll probably hear because even they will be protesting against Trump wanting to stop a war. That's what
This is a great question that I never thought of, Colin. So I want to put that up there. But this really puts them in a terrible position. Like how can you go? How can you square this? Go ahead.
Right, but they already are. That's the thing, because as Kit said, Trump said, I don't want more people to die. The squad has not spoken with or against Trump on that already. But you're right, they're stuck. So it's like, as far as the principles, they're supposed to run on being anti-war. And I know you're going to get into this later, but, you know, at the event that AOC held in Queens on Friday, she was still passing out flyers for teenagers to be enlisted in the military. Definitely, yes, yeah. Like, so some of the mess that she got called out on a few months ago, she did it again at the event at the town hall that she hosted on Friday. She was passing out flyers, you know, for teenagers to be enlisted in the military industrial complex. You know, so that's kind of why Jose believes that he was banned and Lucy because of that in part. But they're stuck because they can go against their party in wanting to be Ukraine, but they can't go for Trump either because he bad. So it's just kind of wondering what are they gonna say.
Look, not to do a "that's what she said" joke, but they're in too deep and they cannot pull out. Okay, they can't. So you know, I mean, like, look, and the thing is, we need to laugh at these politicians and criticize them and then humiliate and embarrass them. And so the thing is, okay, AOC might be farting around thinking, okay, I got rid of Lucy and that mean Jose Vega who's being rude, and his friend Keaton who's being rude. But the thing is, that video where Jose first, again, that famous video where he's calling her out way back in October of 2022, right? Yeah, that video was seen by a lot of people. And all I said was, hey, you know, just in case they do censor him and make sure he never attends another event, that's going to inspire other people to step up and be like, wait a minute, AOC isn't following through with anything. Hey, our neighborhoods are still impoverished. Hey, our schools are being underfunded. So AOC's stuck, and I'm glad that she's stuck. And now she's in an awkward position. That's what she said. and now she can't get out of it. So that goes for all the squad members. Where were they for this Medicare for All, March for Medicare for All? Where were they for Force the Vote? Where were they for the 3-day General Strike Summit meeting that was hosted by RBN?
Yeah.
Where were they? Nowhere. So they don't really have a leg to stand on, and they are going to get humiliated. And if they thought Jose Vega and Lucy were bad, there are other people who are far more uncensored, far more unfiltered, that will really give AOC and the Democratic Party a piece of their mind. And they can fill the room with all their sycophants as much as they want, but it ain't going to change a thing, especially when, Colin, live on our show, we showed a tweet that Compton posted in regards towards, oh, that's right, student debt. 60 days. Uh-oh, folks. Not only that will we pardon, but hey,
Terrible.
squad members, I'm willing to bet, as you said, CJ, people might have to pay back what the government forgave anyways. Pay back the interest, pay back the principal, all of that. And I know you broke it down perfectly, so I think you could explain it better than me, Colin.
Oh,
yeah. Which was that student debt? Remember that you were talking about early in the morning?
Like the idea that one, we might be I've been paying back, but for everyone else who hasn't been paying their student loans, possibly now that Republicans, as far as the debt ceiling deal that they reach, I think I saw this article that you did, CJ, that tweeted that they're trying to codify the idea that now, no, you gotta pay. Possibly sooner than expected. So probably even earlier than September, for what I understand of it. So basically, like, which kind of goes against what Ayanna Presley told me last week, oh, we have a backup plan, or even like the majority of report was saying in the clip that I saw last night, oh, if the Supreme Court falls through, then she has a backup plan. The squad has a backup plan. They don't have a backup plan if they're talking about repayments, because then it would have been like, oh, we'll do another pause. But now the Republicans are doing a block to that, being no more pauses. People are we need that money. Fuck the working class. You give us back our money. So you had 3 years of a vacation. Now you time to owe us back. So they're going in with a vengeance right now. And again, that they don't have anything to say to that right now. So it's just, I don't know, but it's just really ridiculous. But, but I have to kind of wonder what's going on in the squad's minds. They're stuck right now. Like, they're going with their party, but they know their party is shit. But if Trump does anything that's remotely popular, they can't speak out for him because, again, Trump bad. So what are they supposed to do? It's interesting to think about, but I'm sure they're just going to keep moving on and just try to ignore, what people might be saying to them as far as criticism in terms of that.
Yeah, and to that, or not to that point, but to kind of I don't have to wrap that up. So let's move to the next stories. Now, these I kind of put these stories together, the AOC heckling part and the debt ceiling. I'm gonna kind of put these together because they're kind of tied, because you have the debt ceiling and what's happening, and the support for Joe Biden by the progressive Democrats is sort of the reason you see what happened at the town hall. Like, all of these terrible decisions they've been making is sort of like leads to that town hall. So let's start with the debt ceiling part, and then we'll get to the AOC part, and to what both of you sort of alluded to, which is the debt ceiling and some of the things, the details that are coming out about this debt ceiling bill is truly shocking to me. And this is one of the items, this headline here.
Can I just say something real quick? It's
the title,
like, debt ceiling deal includes surprise approval of natural gas pipeline champ. Nothing is a surprise. Like, just even the way that they phrase it's like, oh, we did know. No, it would have been, you wanted this in there. Without a doubt, you wanted it in there. You're just using Manchin as a scapegoat here. But like, it wouldn't be a surprise if it's not in there. So
That
fuck
that
the
to your
framing of
point,
this article
to your
title.
point, to your point, we should always be looking at this through the lens of propaganda, and that's a great point. We have to understand the media is in conjunction with spreading these sort of narratives about what's happening. They're helping this narrative. So let me read that title again. Debt ceiling deal includes surprise approval of natural gas pipeline championed by Manchin. Maybe they mean surprise, like surprise to us, like surprise, guys. Look, surprise. Maybe that's what they mean, because that's the only people who would be surprised in this. But let me read a snippet from this article, and I'll show you another headline in just a second. What I said in here is progressive Democrats like Emma Vigeland said Biden was the climate president. And here's a quote from the text of the article. The text of the debt ceiling bill released on Sunday would approve all remaining permits to complete the stalled Mountain Valley Pipeline, delivering a big win for West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Shelley Moore Capital. I think that's the name of a company. So they snuck this in. This has nothing to do with the debt ceiling. Nothing to do with it at all. Has nothing to do with our credit rating. They sneak this in, this bill. And let me, before I go to you for comment, let me show you this other headline. Same bill.
Right.
Same issue. And this is what Colin and Kit alluded to earlier. And that is the student loan. The student loan pause. Quote, and there's the headline from McCarthy. He says student loan payment pause gone under debt ceiling deal. And let me read you a snippet from the article also. Quote, the pause is gone within 60 days of this being signed. So that is another victory, because that brings in $5 billion each month to the American public. McCarthy told an anchor on Fox News Sunday, and he went on to say, the Supreme Court is taking up the case. This is the key part, up that case. But if the Supreme Court came back and said that it was unconstitutional, so if the Supreme Court came back, Colin and Kit, and said that, no, this student loan forgiveness, this is unconstitutional.
Right.
They're saying that President Biden would still have the ability to pause it.
Right.
But with this debt ceiling bill, he no longer has that ability to pause it. So, Colin, I know you're an educator. I know you have a lot to say. I was watching the earlier stream. What do you have to say? What are your thoughts on this particular point and anything else?
And I said this earlier on with Kit earlier, but that's why I I'll say this. I said it in RBN, I said it on INN, I'll say it here. Like, I was actually very nervous to call out the squad in a sense, because it was a small venue. There was at best 150 people there. It would have been, all eyes would have been on me. And normally, like, I'm very private. I'm very shy. I don't like putting myself out like that. I'm not a Jose, but we're actually going to premiere the full coverage of the entire thing, I think at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, I believe. So you can watch the whole thing for yourselves and hear what there were other squad members who spoke specific topics that were basically spoon-fed to them. But, like Corey Bush talked about reparations, Ilhan Omar talked about the debt ceiling, Rashida Tlaib talked about labor. I went in a environment where it was just all PMCs. None of them were going to be that interested in reparations, the debt ceiling, and labor. They wouldn't care about that, but I would guess that most of them have student debt in some fashion.
Right.
So that's when the opportunity, when Ayanna started talking about student debt, that's when I kind of blurted in and asked her about her role in regards to writing that memo with Senator Warren regarding Biden canceling it via the Higher Education Act. And he didn't follow the assignment, and he did, use the HEROES Act. And not only that, that memo was written in the winter of 2021. Biden made that executive order in August of last year. So he waited a year and a half to make any action on student loan debt, only for it to be challenged in the court days after midterms. So this kind of puts a slap in the face of what Ayana was telling me and the audience that I was with last Wednesday in terms of, we have concessions. Like, we are going to do something in the event of. No, you won't. And if you've knowing this now, like, have you made a tweet about this today? No. So you have no plan to come after Biden in terms of this, assuming that this gets signed, which I think it will probably be signed by Wednesday, I would guess.
Yeah.
From what I'm
That's
hearing.
when the 3 days is up. That's when the 3 days is up is on Wednesday, yes.
So have heard nothing from the squad as far as at minimum a warning in terms of this is a possibility that this, like, you're paying your debts a lot sooner. Like, so it's, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised at this, but it gives them a cover because now they're going to be like, oh, well, actually not quite, because Joe Biden was in collaboration with McCarthy on this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, what are they going to say to that? It's like, they can't be like Republicans are bad because Joe Biden is complicit in this too. So are they going to call out Biden for this? They might say, oh, we're disappointed, but are they going to go hard on him in the way that they should? Probably not.
Okay. You bring up a lot of good points, but here's the thing. There's a lot that could work against the squad. All right. Now, I want everyone to remember these words that Colin shared in regards towards what the squad will do to try and deflect. But there is a Uno reverse card that we could throw at them. Their support for him in the 2020 campaign and how they got none of their concessions handed to them. And there are plenty of receipts in which the squad is like, oh, geez, sucks. Oh, wish we could have done more. But no, they gave him his support. Same thing with AOC saying that he exceeded expectations.
Right.
There's a lot in which all of us who have been following this story for years and following the actions of the squad, that we can say, hey, no, you are connected to the hip to this, whether you like it or not. You are there connected to old man Biden. There is also the fact that, the squad could have used their political power to put pressure on this administration to get things that they want. Now, if you look at Republicans, they're able to get what they want when they put pressure on their establishment. It's things that I won't agree with, but I have to say, how come these House representatives get what they want in the GOP, and yet none of you, quote unquote, fighters, resistance people in the DNC can't get jack done? You just tell us to vote for more of you. And you asked the question to Jamal Bowman, why Biden? Why? Right. And then you had one of their handlers come up to you and tell you to leave because you're asking the question and they can't answer anything. They can't answer for all their failures. And so what I would say when we see this devastating situation of student loan debt, once again, impacting millions of Americans, it might be too late for millennials and Gen X and boomers, but it's not too late to save what remains of Gen Z and the generation following afterwards. And it's a social responsibility of every single American to drill in young people's heads. Do not go to college here in America. Do not be part of the college industrial complex. Escape the chains of debt slavery. If there's no fresh blood for the machine, it cannot continue on. If you want to go overseas for academic education, it's going to take time, but do it. Go to a trade school, go to a community college, go to an apprenticeship program, but avoid everything you can to have student debt. And if people tell you, oh, you won't be anything without that piece of paper, there are plenty of people who I know who are struggling and still paying off a debt for now 10 plus years, 15 plus years, 20 plus years. That's not freedom. That's not opportunities. That's enslavement. And and may not be the slavery of old, but it's a slavery of neoliberalism to where you're stuck at your job. You can't afford to quit. You must work until you die, and maybe you'll make it. That's that puritanical logic. You want to know what everyone's biggest regret in their life is? Oh, I wish I didn't work so much.
Working too much.
And,
Working too much.
Yeah, and the thing is, it might be too late for a lot of us, but it's not too late to help the people coming after us. And we have to tell people, do not go to college here in America. Don't feed the machine. Let it die. Let it collapse. Let it blow up.
I just have a short story about to add to this part because I have student loan debt. Do you know when I was going to Cal State Long Beach in the early 2000s, literally maybe mid 2000, early 2000 would just say, I paid for a full semester at Cal State Long Beach when I went there $1,000. I took 2 years off and then came back. It went from 1,000. It was $4,000 now.
The fuck
for the same shit. I was like, "What the hell is this?" Yes,
And that,
it was
and
just
Cal State is a
striking.
public
Yes.
school, right?
Yes,
Cal-
Cal State University Long Beach is a public university. Yes, is a state university. So this would be the university that would have still been free if Ronald Reagan didn't change it. And
right.
people don't know this. Like college was already free. Like it was already free. And then
I
did. But yes,
I did a report on this on INN News, I think last year, where basically, and that was due to more radical sentiment in colleges that not Biden, well, probably Biden too, but Reagan did not want college students to lead an uprising. So this is where we began to see a lot more colleges, having to pay and like all this student loan business to kind of prevent a lot of that from happening. So that was kind of due out of the 60s, 70s, uprisings that we were seeing at that time. So that's what Reagan came to squash down. So a lot of what we're seeing now in regards to this, as I say, like if there's an issue in the country, you can usually blame Reagan as the cause of it. And in this case,
or Clinton, Reagan and Clinton. That's true. That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. With their legislation. Let me just read a couple of paragraphs from this and we can move on to the AOC part of this. But from the Hill, Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Sunday described the student loan payment pause as, quote, gone as part of the debt ceiling deal announced by the California Republican and President Biden late Saturday night. Quote, the pause is gone within 60 days of this being signed, so that is another victory because that brings in $5 billion each month to the American public, McCarthy told anchor Shannon Brim on Fox News. And I read that earlier. Furthermore, McCarthy's remarks came after he and Biden came to an agreement in principle late Saturday to cap spending and raise the debt ceiling. Now, let me just say this. When they say stuff like cap or freeze, those are nice words for cuts.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That's them using soft language instead of saying cuts. It's the same thing. Let me continue, and then I'll get your final comments on this story, and then we'll move to AOC. Quote, what the president did, he went unconstitutionally and said he was going to waive certain people part of their debt for student loans. But then he paused everybody's student loan. So everybody who borrowed student loan, who borrowed a student loan within 60 days of the signing is going to have to pay that back. So somebody had that question. They're going to start having us pay back some of the stuff. And that is true. And you just heard it. And I'll read that last part. So everybody who borrowed a student loan within 60 days of signing is going to have to pay that back, McCarthy said Sunday. The Supreme Court is taking up the case, but if the Supreme Court came back and said that it was unconstitutional, the president could still say he's pausing, not waiving it. But now that this is in law, the Supreme Court decision will have to be upheld that they would have to pay, he added. The Biden administration. Go ahead.
So this sounds like codification to me.
That's what codification looks like. Yes.
Yeah.
This is codification in law, which should have been done for the right for an abortion.
Many things.
Many things, but they can codify things like tax cuts into law. They can codify things like removing, like Who does this? What civilized country says we're going to take away the right for you to pause payments if somebody is in a position, vulnerable position? Who does that to say we're going to take that completely away regardless of the circumstances? It's truly telling of the cruelty of this ruling class. But I'll go to you too for your final words on the debt ceiling part of this before we move
All
to AOC.
I got to say, and I've seen this online and it's true, Trump will be known for creating the pause on student debt. Biden is going to be the one who started it.
Very true.
Go ahead. We know the Democrats do this on purpose, but they're going to be in for a world of hurt. But at our expense. And I've been yelling at my audience for months, like, please prepare, because you will stop believing in the myth that there is a possibility that this student loan thing would be the fact that Biden sat on his hands for a year and a half when he should have done it right away, because it was going to get challenged in court regardless. But if you got a challenge through the Higher Education Act, it would have had a better chance of succeeding. Right. So, but if he did that back in 2 years ago versus waiting until the summer of 2022, and then like in the fall, he was saying, oh, like we're no longer in the pandemic anymore. Like that's when he started saying that mess. And he attached it to the HEROES Act, which kind of gave the justification to cancel student loan debt in light of the pandemic. What is the Supreme Court going to say? We're no longer in the pandemic, so what excuse is there? So, and the fact that he and Secretary Cardona are already saying, oh, we believe, and this is what Ayanna was saying, oh, the case is sound, but you're asking for repayments even before the Supreme Court has made the decision. Like, that makes no damn sense to me. So, so this is going to be a huge loss for Democrats either way, but more especially for the people who have not been able to or haven't had the reason to pay their loans back. This second half of the year is going to be tough for a lot of people. And I feel bad, for people who now have to figure out what they're going to do, but this is why I say, like, this is an issue that people should have been taking to the streets all along, like, and not just wait in the hope that Biden was going to be nice. Biden is the cause of a lot of these problems. Now, you think he was going to be the one to fix it? No.
He never was.
So
if
Go
I
ahead,
could, it's not going to be good. It's a sense of gloom and doom. And let's be clear here. Biden is the individual responsible for making student debt, and hell, him and his fantastic friends are responsible for this neoliberal nightmare that we're in regards to every single issue that progressives are supposedly fighting and protesting against. When you have an administration this clueless, it should show everybody that was browbeaten and yelled at to vote for Biden that your vote was far more precious and should have gone to an independent candidate or somebody else instead of the DNC or the RNC. As soon as this comes into fruition and activates, people are now going to be hit hard by credit card and loan sharks and individuals that are going to want the money. They're going to want the money, and people's livelihoods and checkbooks will disappear. And we will hear stories on the mainstream media saying, oh, terrible situation. Families are struggling to put food on the table, paying bills, buying medicine, putting gas in the car. And what it's gonna cause to is, and I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, because this is what's going to be difficult to see. People being evicted, people facing massive poverty, people living, families moving in together, homes and communities being abandoned. And then you'll see the banks and the Wall Street executives buy up land, buy up farmland, buy up communities, because people can't afford to own property anymore, because we can't have independent property owners in this country own nothing and be happy. Black communities are going to get hit hard. Latino communities are going to get hard. You're going to see poor white communities get hit hard. And you're going to see all these homes and communities all across the United States, be it small towns or major cities, being bought up by private real estate, corporations, Wall Street. And then we all have our wonderful community towns to move into. That will be where we're going to require to have community bucks to pay in. Why do you think they're so in a super fast rush to buy up everything? The top 1% want to control everything, because if they allow us to be free, we have to hold them to be accountable. And the squad is rocking us to sleep, telling us not to panic, for us to trust their plan. Their plan was for us to take it up the butt. That's what the establishment wants. But it's the truth. It's the truth. And the thing is, when we see kids start, I remember my grandpa was talking to me before he passed away, talked about the depression. What was it like to see starving people in the street, to see people die of starvation, to see men and women be utterly hopeless. In this world now that we have, with debt slavery being what it is, if we think that things are bad, or people snapping, or people attacking or fighting each other has gotten bad now, it's going to get worse. And I urge everyone to please be careful out there, because anything is going to set anybody off. And I think everybody is going to be scared. You're going to have frightened people who should be frightened, rightfully so. But we need to realize that it's not the poor man on the street. It's not your neighbor. It's not somebody driving in their car going God knows where who's your enemy. The person who's responsible for this, the people responsible, are in D.C. The people in the suits and ties, the people who bought our whole system, Wall Street, big banks, the corporations, they're the ones responsible for there to be a lack of creativity. They're the ones that are making our lives miserable. They're the ones who get the bills written in their favor, not us. Not us at all. It's one big club, and we ain't in it. But they're the bad guys.
Well said. Thank you for that or the second to last comment I put up there. That was actually a pretty good comment there. Let's add in the AOC part. Now, the reason I think kind of link these together, because we have Joe Biden, who's willing to do what he's doing now to sell this debt ceiling, and all of mainstream media, corporate media, I should say, not mainstream, but corporate media, print media, are all soft pushing this. You know, it's something in, everybody's unhappy, and you know, everybody's complaining. So I guess that's a good deal. If everybody's complaining, that means it must be in the middle. But completely leaving out that student debt pause will be in there. I haven't seen that on cable news yet. I have yet to see that. Completely leaving out about these drilling permits, just covering over that in hopes that people who are watching them aren't going to go look up the information. Now, I say all that to say, then we roll over to AOC and the squad. And the AOC and the squad, they're breaking strikes. They're saying Joe Biden is the most progressive candidate since FDR, including Bernie Sanders is also saying things along those lines. And then we wonder why AOC
drag that idiot old man across the finish line.
Right? Like Bernie, that's such a fitting title, Weekend at Bernie's, because Bernie is actually doing that. And I think I prefaced it enough. Let's go to the first video. Now I'm going to show this. This is not part of the town hall, but I do want to show this because you alluded to it earlier and you being there. So let's start with this video, and then we'll get to the town hall to discuss that a little bit more. Can you set this up, Colin?
Okay.
This is the video that you were in. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I recorded because I went to this event, and as I was saying with Kit earlier this morning, it was insufferable being in there. Because it was just a whole lot of platitudes and just a whole lot of niceties. And again, this was a room full of PMCs that they clapped for basically everything that the squad was saying. So this is toward the end of the night before I had to leave, and they ran late. So I had to come home to stream later on that night. So I personally started talking about student debt. And prior to that, you guys saw the Jamal Bowman thing. That happened before this. And when I called out Bowman, the hired help came to me, I assume was the hired help, and was like, dude, you need to chill. And I was like, all right, so I'm probably on borrowed time here if I do that again. So I unfortunately started talking about student debt. So that's when I inserted my question in there. So that's kind of giving you an idea.
That's giving us a setup. Great. Thank you for the setup, and let's play it. Let me know if you want to stop. It's almost 3 minutes. We can play it all the way through, unless one of you want to stop.
Okay, so I think we should let the video play its full entirety. Okay, so in the first 15 seconds, a question is given. The rest is word salad. So everyone, brace yourselves.
Get out your ranch and your ranch, whatever dressing you like for your salad. Yes. Get it out now. All right, here we go.
Congressman, didn't you give a memo to Biden with Senator Wong regarding student debt to tell him to use the Higher Education Act?
Let me just say this, because I'm gonna get in trouble if I start taking questions from the floor, okay? But I want to say on student debt and where that fight stands right now, it is in the Supreme Court. By the way, expand the courts. Yeah. Expand the courts. Expand the courts.
I'm trying to get through this. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna let it. Oh God.
And it's not that radical, y'all. There is precedent. It's been done 6 times before. It's far right. It's extremist. It's imbalanced, and they are causing great harm. That is where the student debt issue is right now. But that being said, we're all organizers, and no organizer goes into a fight without a contingency plan.
You guys were organizers like years ago, like eons ago, maybe. But is that really a correct description? Because what you're saying, she's saying we never go in without a plan B. What is your plan B to force the vote? What is your plan B to the parliament and the $15 minimum wage? What is your plan B to this debt ceiling?
If they were organizing, why didn't they show up at the virtual town hall that Jimmy Dore hosted several years ago regarding force the vote? If they were organizers, why didn't they come out, with the exception of Cori Bush, come out to any of the marches for Medicare for All 2 summers ago? If they were real organizers, why haven't they spoken out regarding now student loan debt and actually made moves to actually ask for direct action or something like that? But God forbid that organizers have come to them and critiqued them, and Jamal Bowman especially, because I know he's been especially bad, like in New York, have chastised them. So no, you're not organizers. You take the energy of organizers and funnel it into the Democratic Party and do nothing with it. Or you just are kind of complacent in terms of what the issues are and kind of flip it to have something that kind of fits in your narrative, because you know your leadership isn't going to allow you to do anything, but they might just give you a handout just to say, here, we'll give you this as a talking point for you to kind of look like you're doing something. And then you kind of say, oh, the grassroots force this issue on us on some kind of bullshit like that. That's kind of what AOC said in one of the clips, like after, where she was like how she kind of landed on funeral reimbursement, that she mentioned, oh, it was activists that kind of brought that up to her. And I'm kind of like, name them. Because I'm pretty sure that most activists, not to say that wasn't an issue at the time, but why not fight something to help more people as far as them living versus people who are dying? Like, you can make the case for Medicare for All, especially since you said, oh, everything was on the table. Like, progressives and Democrats and Republicans were scared during the pandemic that they were willing to give anything up. So don't believe that. But no, they're not organizers, because they're not on the field with us championing for these things. So it was just a lot of words out here. And just to give more, I left after this because I was just got so heated. But the fact that she would say that to my face and to all these people, and then they would just clap, as you heard, clapping for her. Kind of like, I just got so angry. I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done for the night. So
you realize where you were. You were in the room with a bunch of Sam Cedars and Emma Viglins and Anna Kasterins. He was like, okay, I need to know where I'm at and deal.
Yeah.
And
But that's why I
accordingly.
asked. But knowing that audience, as I said, they won't give a damn about reparations other than the 1 or 2 Black people who were there. They're not going to give a damn about the debt ceiling. Then most of these issues, as far as the PMCs, it might affect them, but they're not going to be bothered about it. That's why I asked about student loan debt, as I said, because most of them in that room probably are affected by it. But she gives this answer, but then she shifted to the courts. And whereas she just missed the idea of what I asked her in terms of, you wrote a memo to Biden how to do it and did it shortly after his inauguration, and he shit the bed. He didn't follow the assignment. So as I told Kit earlier this morning, because someone asked, if I were to grade that, that's a straight up F. Because as a teacher, if I give you instructions, I'm essentially helping you doing well on the exam. So if you don't pay attention to me or just kind of go over do your own thing, then I'm going to fail you. So the fact that she doesn't call out Biden at all on this, just shows how complicit she is. But then but just given how little the audience then knew about this, that they just started clapping for her because she knew that that's something that they would like to hear. And that will kind of be complete, and they were complacent in that. So but I talked enough, but it was hard.
Yeah, we can play the rest of it and then move to the next one. So let's listen to the rest of this word salad. Like I said, break out your salad dressing here.
We have them, but I'm not ready to see defeat here because the legal case is sound. The legal case is sound. So, stay tuned on that because we know that was a motivating issue in the midterms for many. This is a transformational issue in the midterms for many.
Hang on a second.
Motivating issue because we know that was a motivating issue in the legal case is sound.
Look at AOC. That's why I was trying to rewind. It's almost like they're telling themselves like a mantra. Listen, look at AOC when she says the legal case is sound. Why are you saying the legal case is sound? Because she understood your question. She understood where you were going, Colin. Yeah. This phrase is telling me she understood exactly where you were going, because you're going, the legal case is sound. Why are you bringing up the HEROES Act, sir? Why are you bringing up all these other acts he could have done? This memo I brought, because you're trying to point out that this legal case is not sound. She understands that, and that's why she's saying it to herself and multiple times. It's very weird, yet telling to me.
Yeah, it's almost like she's trying to convince herself.
Yes.
That it was the right thing to do. Almost. But
there's also that look. There's that look that Jamal and AOC are just thinking, because I could think like maybe of a comedic sketch where they're thinking, don't you screw this up. Hakeem will beat us. Hakeem will beat us behind the shed if we don't get this answer right.
Right. I told Kit earlier, because Ayana said, I don't want to get in trouble for taking questions on the floor. Like, who are you going to get in trouble with?
Right.
Yeah. Who are you going to get in trouble with?
And
Also,
this is your event.
I paid $75 for this event. Like, I want a return on my investment. My guess is probably Hakeem was the one to be like, don't say shit that would make us look bad in this audience. Otherwise that's your job. I'm sure that's probably who it was, or someone else within the leadership that basically said, do not answer any questions from the group.
That is weak. Go ahead, Kid. Were you going to chime in? I can't see, but I thought I heard you. So go ahead.
So what I want to add in here is, you're given this word salad of a nothing burger to an audience that's more than happy to consume it.
Mm-hmm.
You asked a legitimate question, and your answer is nothing. Truth be told, I'd respect her more if she said, "No, we ain't gonna do jack." If she just said it that hard, I would have. My respect for the squad would intensify. That's why I say I respect Republican lawmakers, not because I respect them, because I know that they're never going to fight for Medicare for all. They're never going to fight for any progressive issues. But I know that when they give me the middle finger, it's authentic.
Right.
At least I can respect that. And I can respect that they're not going to do anything that's going to improve the lives of the American people. That's it. Same thing with Trump. He's been the most transparent president in U.S. history. He didn't notice that when given the question, I know it's not related to the subject, but when asked, why are we in Syria? He said for the oil.
Yeah.
If that had been Reagan, Bush Sr., Bush Jr., yeah, if it had been him, or Obama or Bill Clinton, they would have said, we're here to rebuild the country, here for freedom, protect the people. No, Trump said oil. We're here for the oil. We're here for the reason why we're in North Africa, the Middle East, or anywhere else is because of resources. That is it. That's it. And he told the truth. It's harsh and disturbing, and we don't have to like it, but I don't see AOC or Jamal Bowman going that far. I see them giving me a word salad. If there's a President Jamal Bowman or President AOC, we're here for the freedom. We're here to make sure liberty's here. You're going to get all the whole training. These people, these politicians miss their calling out to be actors or actresses. They're wasting their potential here because, man, these are professional liars here. And you know that Jamal and AOC are just thinking in their head, please get this answer right. I don't want Nancy to call me up. I don't want Hakeem Jeffries to be waiting for me in the corners of Congress with armful. Like, all right, the beating's got to continue on. Y'all don't get your lines right. Get it right. And the thing is, these politicians, especially the squad, are being promoted as heavy hitters. When if I have to give the WWF or ECW or WCW analogy, they're jabronis. They're the people that have to get beaten up in the stage. They're the nobodies. If people don't remember WWF way back in the day, but they used to have shows that would be on mainstream television, not on cable, not pay-per-view, none of that. And I used to watch as kids, but I was like, geez, these shows are like it wasn't even SmackDown or Monday Night Raw. These were like mid-tier people who you just didn't care about. Low tier.
They had the worst nicknames, not Junkyard Dog. They had like Garage Guy, like that, like terrible names.
Oh man, no wait, there was a guy on WCW back in the day who he was trying to mimic The Rock, but he was like the juicy elbow, the juicy. Yeah, no. There was somebody who was, I don't know who he was. I think he called himself the Juicy or something, and he was trying to. And I'm like, oh God, oh wait, and there was the Ultimate Warrior, who unfortunately the knockoff version of the Ultimate Warrior, self deletion himself, but he was called the Renegade, and they were hyping him up as the next best thing, and. It just wasn't.
That's the same thing that's happening with the squad. I mean, Max Frost is being hyped up as the next big thing. Jamal Bowman was hyped up as the next AOC. Yeah. And now what do we have? And just think about this, and Colin, the good guys. These are the good guys. The good guys have to hide and dodge questions. That's insane. The good guys. Let me try to finish this clip so we can move to the next one. Let's try to finish it.
We're all organizers, and no organizer goes into a fight without a contingency plan. We have them, but I'm not ready to see defeat here because the legal case is sound. The legal case is sound. So, stay tuned on that because we know that was a motivating issue in the midterms for many. This is a transformational, consequential issue, and we're not giving up this fight. So, in the fact that we made it this far, first they said the president didn't have the authority. Then they said it would be regressive.
This is the word salad, by the way, folks.
Graduate students who went to affluent schools, and we have challenged and proven all of that wrong. This is a huge coalition of impacted borrowers, civil rights organizations, union workers, presidents, tradesmen and women. But my point is the progress that has been made is because of the movement. So I'll just close by saying this. And it is progress. And listen, 60 million people have already benefited from this relief. Provided the Supreme Court follows the letter of the law, 1 in 4 Black borrowers will have their debt zeroed out completely. This is 40 plus million people that stand to benefit. Do we want more? Do we fight for more? Yes. But Pell Grants are our most burdened recipients. And the fact that $20,000 worth of debt will be canceled for Pell Grant recipients and $10,000 for non-Pell Grant recipients, that is progress. The legal case is sound. The president has the authority. So let's see what the Supreme Court does. But my point here is, as much as I want government to lead, more often than not, government does not lead, but it does respond to pressure.
God damn it.
That's a bold-faced lie. That is just a bold that is just a bold-faced lie. They do not respond to pressure. And let's say, to your point, let's take your point for face value. Let's say they do respond to pressure. What happens when you don't give them pressure, though? You won't even pressure them for force to vote. You won't pressure them when they remember the two bills they wanted to pass at the same time. You guys didn't have any backbone about that. You didn't pressure them about the $15 minimum wage in the unelected Senate parliamentarian. You're not going to pressure him about this debt ceiling law either. Do you think these people are going to say anything about the pause going away? Are progressives going to vote for a bill that throws away these professional managerial classes? Are they going to vote for a bill that throws away the possibility to pause student loan repayments? And they're trying to act like they're champions for student loan repayment or forgiveness. It is just completely absurd.
Well, it's interesting that Ayanna kept saying, well, she said, they said that Congress can do it. It's not a they, it's a she, and that was Nancy Pelosi. She was the one who did a new press conference and said that Congress cannot cancel student debt. They can extend, they can pause, but they cannot forgive. She said that. Her leadership said that. And the fact that Ayanna did not say her and just made it vague as fuck, so the people in the room would have thought, oh, it was the Supreme Court, or oh, it was Republicans, I think is very disingenuous there. But she gave a lot of vagueness in her response. And I think this also kind of shows, people don't realize this, the Supreme Court should not have as much power as it does. Like, it shouldn't. Like, it just goes to show how lazy both sides are in terms of debating. Because go to Europe, go to the UK and see what happens in Parliament. Like, they will debate for days.
Jeez, what I would give for Parliament, never mind.
Like, in order to fight for policy, like, they'll go at it as long as they need to. What do our politicians do? They might slap each other across the face a couple of times and be like, "Oh, we'll just have the Supreme Court take care of it."
I got to stop you there, Colin, because you know what? Even slap what we're seeing is the fake wrestling smack. That's what we're seeing. It's not full on contact. What I would give to see in our Congress, the real fighting, like you see in the South Korean Parliament or in other European parliaments, I would love to see them fight. God, that would be so beautiful to see. Because but unfortunately, these politicians like the fake fight because they want to put on the act of, oh, I'm against you, and then once the show's over, it's like, hey, good game that you played there, Nancy. Oh, thank you, Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell. It was awesome. And then they pack up and they do the rodeo show somewhere down the road. It's what we see again. I'm using the wrestling analogy, but they do that fake fighting, and that's how you know that they won't fight. That's how you know, because you know that Nancy knows that her time will eventually be up, but she wants to make sure that the money machine keeps on pumping, that the money machine keeps on going for the DNC. And if the Democrats ever lose the chance to fundraise, let's say they codified Roe v. Wade, well, they can't fundraise off of that. Let's say they pardon student debt, they can't fundraise off of that. Let's say they try and do Medicare for all, they can't fundraise off of that. They need to keep things bad, and we're so close because they need to do the fundraising. They need the money.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised. Just real quick, I wouldn't be surprised if they say, and I think I said this on Twitter, but towards the lines of, oh, we tried, but that's why, at least in the squad space, we need more of us in there, so we can fight for you. Or like, or some. I think more than likely is going to be like, oh, we lost, but you know what? You know, Republicans caused all this trouble, so you need to give us money so that next time when we have everyone like when we have majorities in Congress, then we'll definitely do it. You know, that's what I'm waiting for, is the idea of like
the next time. It's always the next time, right?
Right.
All right, let's listen. Okay, let's watch. Now we finally are to what the thumbnail shows. And I love this thumbnail. Let me just pop it up there before I play this video. This thumbnail Aaron made, instead of tax the rich, it says eat the voter. And that's exactly what AOC did. I mean, that's exactly what she did if you're banning constituents from your town halls. But let's listen. This is less than a minute. Let's listen to one of the outbursts at the meeting.
Next, we're going to go to nuclear war with Russia. We're sending F-16. If we send F-16, please, there's no nuclear war. It's not okay. Are you going to stop this war? Okay, are you going to stop this war? That's my question. Are we going to?
Wow.
Yeah, we know what you're afraid for. Why are you afraid of your constituents?
Oh God, this guy.
Wait, she's getting kicked out for saying that little bit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait,
CJ, I nearly got kicked.
I thought he was reaching for her hand to kind of like, let me bring you down and go on the stage and talk. He's escorting her out.
Yes, and there was another person too who raised her voice too and said like, "Hey, stop funding this war in Ukraine."
Right, but CJ, even with me, like, you noticed me, I didn't yell. I wasn't like this. I wasn't boisterous like this, and the higher help still came to me. So it doesn't matter really. Like I might as well been boisterous because I probably would have gotten at least a little more trauma. But
yeah, because it's the substance. It's not necessarily how you're saying it. They're trying to. They use that as an excuse. Oh, you're yelling. Okay, you're being uncivil. But it's what she is saying. Go ahead.
Right.
You know, there's something else too I want to bring up that just slipped my mind. And this slipped my mind even in the morning show. But I'm glad I caught myself. You know, I always found it interesting that Medea Benjamin is able to get inside all these events, and the thing is, her face is recognizable, but somehow she's in there, right? And look, she's tweeted and posted some things that I agree with, but I always wondered, like, God damn, like, you must have some like CIA methods of getting inside these buildings that I don't know of. Like, you're hiding in the old laundry basket or going through the garbage bin, somehow doing that. But with Jose Vega and Keaton, this is not once but twice now, because he went to one Republican event and they knew who he was and they kicked him out. Yeah, that's right. Jose Vega protests the Republican lawmakers, but he went to this AOC event too. Can't be there. Like they were quick to get him out and make sure he wasn't showing up. So it's interesting. By the way, Colin, did Medea Benjamin do anything?
Nope. She heard me. CJ, just to give you context, she sat less than 5 feet behind me as I was recording. So she definitely heard me calling out Ayanna. She'd said nothing the whole night. And she actually left just shortly before I did. So my guess was, I think she made that tweet of saying, "Oh, I'm having a great time with the squad," and then she saw like the ratio, and then my guess is probably coupled with the fact that I started at Ayanna, she probably was like, "Oh, I better go," so she booked it. That's my guess. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. But
the thing is, she didn't need to tweet anything. Why didn't she just not tweet anything? You know?
No, but the idea was, as I said, I was very nervous to call out the squad. Medea's a fucking pro.
Right.
And she didn't defend. She did not get up or say anything to add to anything that I was saying. She just sat there, enjoying herself, having a grand old time watching her lovelies, the squad. So
now, Cole Pink and Medea had a war rally. I went to it. Like, we participated in it. They had
Right.
one. So, and the war rally was specifically about Ukraine. Does she not know that the squad voted for Ukraine? Does Medea Benjamin not know that?
I'm sure she knows, but and I've said this because I've had my suspicions of Medea for a long time. I'll say it here, just so your audience is aware, because you guys probably know me, you know, kind of how people know me in space mostly was when on the steps of the Capitol where Franco and I called out AOC and Corey, like when I mentioned what about the 10%, that kind of got viral on Twitter. Like, I didn't know who Medea was at the time, but I was like less than 5 feet away from her at the Capitol, and she was yelling at Franco because he apparently was being too mean to AOC in regards to what he was saying to her. So from then, I've always had my suspicions of her, but now, just especially now having another interaction with her, that I was calling out the squad based, and again, it wasn't like this. I was being respectful in terms of the question, and it was targeted given student that nothing to say. You know, so you know, so it just shows me, to me, she's controlled opposition to me.
Yeah, and, or at the least, because let's give her all the benefit of the doubt. I've already did a segment on this Medea thing because she was called out in racial. I did a segment, but at very least, she is a PMC with a good heart and not willing to go to the place she needs to go to get what she wants to do. That's at the very least. If you were to give her all these sort of like believability in what that she believes what she's saying, it's still lacking. Like, it's still lacking, and we don't. This is not a Medea bash Medea.
No, it shouldn't be. But also maybe she thought it was like her day off, and she's just like, all right, this one day I'm not gonna do it. Because I'm also willing to throw that out there too. Like, okay, all right, you're gonna go there. Maybe it's her day off. She's not prepared.
But you should,
okay,
why
I
not
know
just
it's
not
silent.
tweet
All right,
about
I'm being
it?
too nice.
Just don't tweet about it. Like, you went there, don't let any, just don't tweet about it. That's my only thing. Let's let her finish this video right here. We stopped here.
Because it has been
all right, let's stop it there. AOC and Aqua. I keep hitting the button. Why is it not stopping? AOC. Hold on a second here. I'll take it out. Yeah, and then I'll set up the other video. Now you said, Kit, that there's another video showing like an anti-war sort of protest.
Let me give you the link.
If
I
can
got
find it, because I'm way ahead. I couldn't find it. Yeah, I couldn't find
way
the
ahead
other
of you. Way ahead of you, my friend.
And I do want to play that before I play the immigrant one, because I don't agree with the sentiment of the immigrant one, but we still should play the outburst. And the immigrant outburst is the most viral, though, because all of the conservative media is all on that part.
All over.
Yeah.
Here we
it's
go.
only about the immigration part, but if you got that,
all right. Wait.
You can send me the link or share it yourself.
I'm actually gonna give you the link. Hold on. Apologies.
No worries.
Let's go ahead. Come on. This is it. Right? No, that is not it.
It might be hard to find because, and I'm gonna play this other video while you're looking for that. It might be because I'm in it right now, and it's hard to find anything other than these two videos of the. Oh, you got it. Perfect.
I got it. I got two of them, and even the New York Post article where it said that Jose Vega and Keaton said they accused them of saying that AOC was a piece of shite, which they didn't, but their faces are there.
Well, so they couldn't have if they weren't there.
Yeah. So okay, I posted the two links, and let me get the New York Post article too for you to use.
I think I have the New York Post article. I
You do?
believe I had. Yeah, I think I have that. Well, you can send it, but it's probably the same one. With
All right.
the
Well, it's
Jose on there.
all in the private chat. It's
Perfect.
all
All right, so
in the private
so
chat.
let's pull up this first link that you sent me, and this is the other video showing. You said this is another. Oh, yeah, I do remember this one.
So
I do
that's
remember this video. Yeah.
So there's a video of Jose Vega, and
wrong one,
Keaton
sorry,
being
my
kicked out, and then there is the other one. So those two links that I sent you, there's three in there.
Yeah.
In the private
All
chat.
right, so this first one is Jose Vega's, or he's the one who put it out.
Yeah.
And this is another protester. And he says last night at AOC's town hall, Rachel George, a good friend of mine, asked AOC why not use the influence of the squad to tell people not to vote for Biden unless he ends this war in Ukraine. Maybe Jamal Bowman should consider that too. Let's put it up on the big screen for you to see and play it. It's only about 1 minute and 15 seconds. Let's watch.
I have a question right now. Why don't you and the squad have the ability to tell their supporters not to vote for Biden unless he concedes on ending this war? Why won't you do it? That's a lot of money you are sending to Ukraine. And you're talking about you're bringing money to your community? What about the war?
Truly disgusting.
She don't even want to answer the question. She's draining. She is contributing to America's debt. You are contributing to America. You got a lot of blood on your hands, and you're going to have to answer to God one day. You're going to have to answer to God one day. Just believe that, girl. You keep clapping and smiling. You're going to have to answer to God. Stop.
They wouldn't be able to clap over my voice. I have a voice that I can project. Like I'll be in that room and I will. You can clap all you want and say all that. She would clearly hear me. Let's finish the video though.
Funding the Ukraine war, sweetheart. Say you for the people. You are damn lie. You are damn lie. You are not the truth. You are being brainwashed. I need y'all to wake the hell up. If COVID-19 did not wake you up, then you are asleep. Why you letting this lady rock yourself to sleep? Stop funding this war.
Just
That was absolutely beautiful.
Every time I see like regular people like shielding for the ruling class, you look. Let me just say, you look so stupid. You look so stupid that you don't even understand what you're doing. You're shielding for these people that's ripping your money off and doing all of these sorts of things. It's bizarre to me when I see people do this sort of thing. But go ahead.
I also want to add on here too. Look, AOC, squad members, Democratic lawmakers, Republican lawmakers. Just because you guys are fast enough to kick Jose and Keaton out, as things get progressively worse, as things continue, as under the Biden-Harris administration, things not only fundamentally change, but they keep on getting worse and worse for working class citizens. Pretty soon, you're going to have a whole rabble of angry people, and there's nothing that corporate media can say or do that will calm people down. And people are starving in the streets, or they're holding their loved ones dying in their deathbeds and everything else. Good luck in telling them to calm down. Good luck in telling people to calm down once they face poverty. Good luck in telling people to calm down once they can't get the medicine to take care of their young ones or their elderly family members. Good luck in telling a starving man to just be patient. Good luck in telling people who've lost everything that things will get better down the road. It's just a herald of things to come. Just because you managed to avoid Jose Vega, you think that people are not going to say anything? AOC, your time in being the hero in the spotlight has long since dwindled. You've had the opportunities to do the right thing. You've had the opportunities to rally your large support base and do big things, but you didn't because you thought that just people would be okay with you just farting along. No, that's not going to be the case at all, AOC. It's going to get worse. And, there are going to be more people far vocal and very loud in telling you to shut the hell up, AOC. And you can get all your security and help as much as you want. But when you have a whole auditorium that's booing you, or a small gymnasium or a small little event, It's not going to look good on you, AOC. You're not the popular one anymore. People see it now.
Absolutely. And I think I have one more receipt to show before I show that video. You saw the New York Post article headline that I put up, or is on the screen right there. AOC critics say they were barred from attending town hall meeting where Rep was called piece of shit. And I'll read a little bit from this New York. Where is it at here? Right. Yeah. All right. All right. So let's read just a little bit of this article. And it says, a man says he was barred from attending Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's town hall after registering to speak at it. And let me read further. A Bronx activist with a history of heckling AOC said that he and at least one other critic were barred from giving the Democratic Socialists an earful on Friday's town meeting in Queens that devolved into chaos. One second, everybody. Another pop-up screen came up. Sorry. I know you guys didn't see it, but I saw it. Jose Vega tweeted video Saturday showing cops and congressional security prohibiting him and a friend from entering the Corona Town Hall, in which AOC was blasted as a piece of shit for championing illegal immigration ahead of Americans supporting U.S. funding for Ukraine and other lefty causes. Now, we must chime in and say this illegal immigration thing. New York Post is a sort of right-leaning publication. So they're using right-leaning talking points. Illegal immigration, from our perspective, of course, has nothing to do with any of the problems that is going on at all, So just wanted to make sure we inserted that part. So this article essentially just confirms what Jose has already said and his friend. They're barred. They're barred from even going in to their own constituents, their own representatives, town halls, or any other meeting. I wonder if we can get them in a disguise, like get him like a nice disguise, you know what I'm saying? So he can hop back in there, because they're probably going to bar him from everything. I would think his picture is literally at the front door for the security guard to look and be like, don't let this guy in, considering some of his protests has made it to Fox News several times. I think one of his videos has gotten several million views on it. So his face was plastered everywhere. But what say you, Colin? Because you're in Harlem or the Bronx, or you're in that area?
No,
you're
I'm in DC. Yeah.
Oh, so that squad event wasn't back in their home. That was back in
no,
DC,
that was in DC. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so but what say you even still about this town hall? You attended your event and you saw the interaction or the lack thereof. Then you see this event, this town hall, and you see this just chaos ensues. What's your reaction, sir?
Well, I think it just shows what money does, which is why I think, the event I went to on Wednesday was run by Justice Democrats. So just to give some clarification there. But again, you had money, you had to pay in order to get in. So that was going to take out most people who may have wanted to go and see the squad. Like, people don't necessarily have $25 just to hear platitudes from the squad. Whereas this town halls are free. So anybody and their mother can go in. So, and it's not to say that AOC, I think the reality, from what I'm hearing, is that all politicians aren't required to have town halls. That's what I've heard. I'm not too sure on that. But I think just to kind of keep up with appearances, AOC has to have town halls every once in a while, just to kind of show her face to her constituency. But I would imagine, like the event that I went to, they're going to have those a lot more often because those are essentially campaign opportunities for them and fundraising for them. So if they're able to offset what AOC experienced on Friday with more of what she and the squad did, at the event that I went to on Wednesday. And again, as I said on Twitter, that was more likely their safe space. They're going to have more people who are going to be more aligned with what they say, or at least are not going to give pushback in a way that we've seen, like in New York, how her constituents have pushed back. And so, yeah, I just feel, I think that's the difference of what happens when you take away the money element, is that you're going to get more of stuff like this, and especially with people, at least in her constituency, who, for all intents and purposes, have every right to be pissed. And because, many of them, like Lucy as well, like she lives in AOC's district, who's also banned from attending any of these events. AOC, Lucy campaigned for AOC. And the fact that she is also banned from attending any of these events, just shows how cowardly she is. But on the other hand, I think to probably our credit, I think especially in the space, they're scared. So if anything, that should give us more confidence to keep doing it in terms of, if you're able to go to a town hall, and I will say this for any politician in general, but especially, not necessarily for the squad, but if they happen to be around, then you should do more of this because they should be scared. But yeah, it's good that, and I don't necessarily agree with like what a lot of her constituents were saying in a lot of the clips there, but at least the sentiment is of anger.
Right.
And that, is valid considering the inaction that she and her colleagues have done to support their communities over the last few years, that they haven't seen anything tangible that has made their lives a little bit better. And when she marketed herself as being a working class politician, like she and the squad were marketed as being for the working class, and that hasn't been the case.
Not at all. We're gonna close out this segment and come bring the stream to an end. But this will be the last clip that we play, and I'll get your final words on the segment, and then we'll kind of close out here. Thank you for everybody that has joined us. Make sure you hit that like button, but listen to how Fox News is so giddy about anything going wrong with AOC. So let's watch a little bit of this clip. It's 5 minutes, but we're not going to watch 5 minutes, but let's listen.
Let's go check it out.
Back to the big Saturday show. The hometown crowd is not taking it easy on AOC. Here's the reception she got during a town hall in her district last night.
Where are you on the migrant issue? You're absent. Where are you? You're a piece of...
Okay. We should eliminate the death limit in the United States.
$100 you played that you voted for.
If you would like to call the Congressman's office, if you would like to meet the Congressman.
So how does the squad member respond? Well, she laughed it off, like she always does when she is confronted on the lackluster job she's doing up on Capitol Hill. I mean, Tammy, they might as well have come out with like the pitchforks and
I wish they did.
Picture this
I wish.
scene, from medieval times. She really is getting a backlash.
Well, and this obviously is a Democrat district. These are people who clearly have been waiting, almost like waiting to go see Taylor Swift, but the opposite. and just obviously frustrated people. This is what Democrats are missing, but politicians
Don't you compare them to Swifties?
Look, no, I'm not comparing.
Well, he is going to defend the Swift.
But look, no matter what. But look, this is what all Americans are going through. This is what very rarely do you get it pictured like this. This is why so many of them don't do town halls, because they know it's like they got their little bubble, and this is real life, and they don't like it, and they're going to have to. And if they don't hear it,
Now it's Fox News, but this lady is making a great point.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reason a lot of them don't do these types of town halls. They do much
Mhm.
smaller events because they know people. If we think politicians don't know what they're doing, the results is terrible. They know. This is why they don't
Exactly.
want to do town halls. They know this stuff. They pretend to be living in a bubble. Now, they are living in a bubble and they may not hear as much as we do, but for them to pretend like they have no idea, that is simply not true. They know the decisions they're making are not being well received by the majority of the population. They know that.
I
Let's
want to
finish.
personally, I
Go
want to
ahead.
personally give a thank you to two people in general. Dime Store Eminem and Fat Tony. I mean, Kyle Kalinske and Cenk Uygur for creating the institution of Justice Democrats. Come on, guys. That was a test, and you failed, and you laughed. How dare you? You laughed. That was a test. But seriously, thank you, Kyle and Cenk, for creating the Justice Democrats, an institution that did kick both of you out, by the way, and giving us these lackluster politicians, and for once again informing progressives and independents that there's no way you could reform the Democratic Party. So thank you, Kyle and Cenk, for creating AOC and all these politicians who, by the way, don't even show up on TYT, Majority Report, or Secular Talk anymore. I mean, I get why they don't go on Jimmy Dore's show, and I know why they'll never be on RBN or Hard Lens Media, but geez, those other three channels, Secular Talk, TYT, Majority Report, hell, even throw in David Peckman's show there too. They don't show up. They don't show up.
Well, I think Elhan did show up a Majority Report.
Oh, she did?
Oh yeah, she went on, but it was a softball, like softball interview. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
that's the only time they agree to come on these shows is when it's for sure going to be a softball. So
yeah,
you know,
and by
maybe
the way,
except for Rokana. Rokana is a glutton
for punishment.
So he'll show up.
Yeah,
he'll show up. So. But let's finish out this video so we can close out here. This is a great point. I'll back it up just a few seconds so she can make the point again.
No, it's like they got their little bubble and this is real life and they don't like it and they're going to have, and if they don't hear it at a town hall, they're going to hear it in the ballot box.
Yeah, but there's something else that should be noted here that you're seeing for the first time. This could be a new coalition emerging of people who are upset by the rampant immigration that are suddenly in AOC's district, courtesy of the Border Patrol who sent them on their way.
No, I absolutely agree
with you. And the
you.
spending in Ukraine and ignoring the well-being of citizens. That's what you hear time and time again.
Absolutely.
I agree that it could be a coalition minus the immigration part. But if people put up with Ukraine and all the other stuff, he's trying to insert the immigration like it's part of it's not.
I don't think the immigration thing is as big of an issue for many of these people compared to economically how they're doing. Like I think that's topic number one. Like the idea that you have to spend more for food, that you have to spend for gas, that you have to spend for your education, that going on a trip, even if it's relatively short distance, costs more. I think, so I think, and it's funny how even on Fox News, they don't mention economics at all. It's just the idea of these cultural issues like, oh, it's the immigrants, or oh, this. They don't talk about like necessarily, you might hear a little bit more on CNN, MSNBC, but here it's like, don't even go into economics. That's where the Ukraine issue comes in. How the hell are you going to justify giving out $100 billion to Ukraine, but you can't support the people that are in your district? That's what essentially those folks are saying. But how they twisted it to be like, oh, you have to worry about immigrants. No, it's economics.
Exactly. I also want to add on here too, like for everyone that's really angry about migrants coming to this country. Again, this took decades for the situation to get this bad, even long before Reagan got into power. When you have the U.S. instituting regime change wars, instigating civil wars, coups, sanctions, and of course, the promotion of the war on drugs. You're going to cause political and economic instability that will lead to the rise of cartels and warlords and tyrants that causes rational people to say, we can't live here. We have to go somewhere else, somewhere where it's safe. And you hear about this land called America, where it's honey and freedom and good stuff and champagne and rainbow all around. But it turns out it's not. So everyone that's upset at migrants coming here, just remember our politicians, even the old ones who are in their 80s and 90s, help create and institute the economic and political situations that are happening in Central and South America. So if you want to know why there's a migrant crisis, thank your Democratic and Republican lawmakers who are doing insider trading, who are profiting off of the economic crisis and political situations in Central and South America, just like they're doing all over around the world. Our politicians are the ones to blame, not some poor migrant coming here. It is the politicians, it is the politicians, it is the politicians, and their eventual successors who will continue on if people are still brain dead to vote Democrat or Republican.
Absolutely. So I think we can round it down here and get out of here at our 2.5-hour mark, which is kind of typical for a stream on RBN. It's been a great conversation. We can always add to conversations. We can always add more to what's happening at the heckling event with the AOC, but I think we've addressed it adequately enough for this video. I do want to go to each of you and just kind of give your last words. If you want to add anything to any of the topics, if not, you can go ahead and just let us know where we can find you, your next time you're going to be streaming, and anything else you want to kind of shout out. Let's start with Colin. Go ahead, Colin.
My only thing that I got to say is, as I said, the second half of this year, I'm going to predict, and I've been saying this for a while, is going to be hell for a lot of people. So I think this is definitely more of a reason for us to solidify together in terms of checking in on our neighbors, checking in on our families, checking in on our communities to ensure that what are the needs that we can help directly and support, and as best as we can be able to support each other in regards to maybe financially or tangible needs that are necessary, because it's obvious, it's been obvious that our government is not going to help us, so the only people who are going to help is ourselves. So I think this is a huge push for us to really make sure that we're taking care of each other, because our politicians are not going to do it for you. But that being said, you can find me or anyone at INN at indienews.network. You can find links to where you can find us. You can find INN on Twitter at GetIndieNews. You can find me generally on Twitter. That's where, as I say, that's where I make the most mess, at Obona. That's OGBONNA_Colin on Twitter. And you can find me on YouTube on INN, INN News with my co-host Reef Breland, Wednesday nights, usually at around 9 Eastern Standard Time.
Perfect. And Kit?
First, I want to once again state this, and I urge everyone watching this live stream. What we got, so far, a few people watching here. If you haven't done so already, please retweet and follow RBN on Twitter right now, and retweet at YouTube and all the YouTube communities, Team YouTube, etc., telling them to reinstate RBN's channel. The suspension must end, and it should end right now. That's what I want to see it happen. I am firmly against censorship, and what is happening to your channel, CJ, and to your team is unjust and unfair, and I demand that this channel, the original channel, be reinstated with its full capacity right away. That's something everyone should do right now, because it is wrong. Again, Heartlands Media, we're a morning show, 9 a.m. Central. Start your morning righteously angry. Put some whiskey in your coffee, grab a mimosa, smoke a bowl, do some shrooms, chew on some cocoa leaves, whatever it is that'll get you through the morning. Hang out with Heartlands. And by the way, this Thursday we're gonna have Lucy on our show. So I'm looking forward to hearing how righteously angry she is at AOC. So thank you so much for having
She couldn't
me
make
on
it to
here.
this. I asked her to come to this too. She couldn't make it. So go ahead.
So
all right, gentlemen, I really do appreciate both of you joining on such short notice. It was today when I reached out and just, hey, you guys wanted to come on, and both of you were down for it. So I do want to express that I really do appreciate that. And in a couple of days, everybody watch it. We'll be back on our main channel and trying to get things back to normal. Colin and Kit, I'll drop you to the back. Thank you again for joining. And this will be our closeout video, Muhammad Ali, and when he was refused to go to the draft. So it's a great video.
It has been said that I have two alternatives: either go to jail or go to the army. But I would like to say that there is another alternative, and that alternative is justice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
He refused induction on the grounds of his religious convictions on war. My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some poor hungry people in the mud for big powerful America and shoot them for what? They never call me nigger.
Muhammad Ali is really important in this because when Ali refuses induction, there's a famous column in the New York Times written by Tom Wicker where he just wonders out loud what would happen if you had 100,000 Muhammad Alis. You had 100,000 people who were prepared to do what Muhammad Ali just did. You would bring this war to a stop. So the draft resistors set that kind of as a goal.
It took an all-white jury less than a half hour to find Muhammad Ali guilty of all charges and specifications. He was sentenced to the maximum, 5 years in prison, and was fined $10,000.
I find nothing amusing or interesting or tolerable about this man. He's a disgrace to his country, his race, and what he laughingly describes as his profession. He has been found guilty. He is out on bail. He will inevitably go to prison, as well he should. He's a simplistic fool and a pawn.
Do you share the same concern that Muhammad has for his draft status?
Oh, I certainly do. My views on the draft are very clear. I'm against it. And I think the sooner our country does away with the draft, the better it will be for everybody.